Guten Morgen, Köln. Welcome to the Transformation Day here in Cologne. Great to see you all here. So my name is Klaus Berg. I'm the Managing Director of AWS here in Germany. And many of you likely have realized that we quietly changed the name of this event from last year's Enterprise Summit to this year's Transformation Day. The reason being was we came to the conclusion that digital transformation is not only something for enterprise customers, it is as well something for customers across all sizes. So that's why we are now calling it Transformation Day. Small joke. Good. But let me understand who was here last year at the Enterprise Summit. Just raise hands, please. Okay, few. And for how many it is the first time being here? Just to cross-check. Okay, that's the majority, but the numbers still do not stack up, so there are a few you probably don't remember if they have been here last year. So this year, we have taken on the challenge to make this a memorable event for you. Now, we put together a very packed agenda for today. We have great content, various speakers, and obviously great partners who are joining us today here on stage, but also outside in the exhibition area. To put things into perspective, we have about 1,000 attendees today. We have about 25 partners and exhibitors outside in the exhibition area, and we have about 25 breakout sessions during the day. So what can you expect during the day? Let's have a detailed look. In the exhibition area, 25 partners exhibiting their offerings, their solutions. So, go there. If you have questions, they will walk you through what they offer. They will walk you through, how they can help you in your journey. We have the Startup Expo, the Twitter wall, obviously. We have the Studio Cinema. And feel free to Twitter about the great things that you learn and experience during the day. Agenda-wise, we have 4 parallel tracks. So one is Think Big, the other one is Build Safely. We have Move On and Go Digital. So the first one, Go Big, is really about cutting-edge technology. So what you can really do with cloud and using it in a cutting-edge way. The second one is Build Safely. You might have heard a concern about security and compliance. This track is really about making you feel comfortable by moving to the public cloud. Next one is Move On. So it's kind of the second stage of your cloud journey. So when you have already moved a couple of workloads into the cloud and you're now considering a much bigger or much broader move out of your company data centers, for example. And the last one is really Go Digital. And Go Digital is really around, if you are considering now a move workloads to the cloud, this is probably the track you should be looking into in more detail. And then, of course, we have the AWS team here. So in the middle of the exhibition area, there is the AWS booth. So come by if you have questions. We are happy to help. Good. In addition, we have decided to make your life a little bit easier. So we built this Transformation Day app where you will find the sessions, the partners, and all the activities going on during the day. You have the overviews of the various locations here, and so you can easily navigate yourself. While talking about making your life easier, we thought it's maybe a good idea, to keep you concentrated for the day, making sure that your blood sugar is at a decent level. So we have joined forces with a company who is specializing in making people happy and making the brain work great. So we've worked with Rittersport. So the sugar today comes as chocolate, so feel free to use it during the day so that you can stay concentrated while we are talking about the content that we have. Good. Now, as we are set, let's get a little bit more serious and talk about the AWS business as a whole. So if we look at the second quarter calendar year ending, we have been growing at a pace of 42% year over year, which was in numbers $4.1 billion in quarter 2 calendar year. If we extrapolate that, this makes the AWS business a 16 billion business in a trailing 12 months period. And the great news is we are seeing the growth across all types of customers, across all sizes, across every imaginable workload that you can think of, right? Just to bring a few customer examples, so Deutsche Bahn with DB Vertrieb, they built that timetable on AWS to make sure that when you are on the main station that you see the right timings for the trains. And then another example, more on the Mittelstand segment, which is Kercher, famous company known for their cleaning equipment. They have built a GPS tracking system for the street sweepers so that they can understand where they are, how much distance they drive, and if there's any, kind of maintenance aspect attached to it. And then the last one, more in the startup space, it's a company called Scalable Capital. It's a company who went all in on AWS. It's a company who focuses on asset management. And they have been using our solutions to build a so-called robo-advisor, which helps you making investments decisions. Even in an area which is strongly regulated by BaFin, so by authorities looking into the banking space. And you will hear many more great customer examples during today. So stay tuned. Now, revenue is, of course, one way of looking into the progress that we are making on the market. But you might agree with me that there are some other ways of looking into how successful we are. And we have taken the step here, and Gartner came out recently with their analysts report, so the Gartner so-called Magic Quadrant for infrastructure as a service worldwide. And if you look at where we are at the top right corner of the Magic Quadrant, which basically means we are ranked highest in our vision, but as well ranked highest in our ability to execute. So we're really able to deliver. Another view, and that's more on the amount of customers. So we are very fortunate to say that we have millions of customers worldwide, millions of businesses using AWS, millions of workloads being built on AWS, and actually across 190 countries worldwide. Some of you might question, what an active customer might mean, because we have seen, some confusion on that one. So let me explain. An active customer is a customer who had an active account usage in the last month. So those numbers are real numbers. They are really numbers who talk about the clients using us. So now, breaking this down a little bit more to Germany. So we are proud to say that we have tens of thousands of customers already here in Germany. While Germany has been a little bit, let's call it reluctant or conservative in their way of looking into new technologies, we have seen a strong momentum in the last couple of months, specifically in Germany. So we have seen customers, again, adopting across all industries, all sizes, all imaginable workloads, even in strongly regulated ones, like insurances or banking, adopting our technologies. But one important aspect I wanted to call out here, because we often get that question from our clients, is our AWS cloud secure? Or is my data in the AWS cloud secure? And I can assure you, AWS cloud is secure by default. Why I'm saying that? We have a huge number of engineers who are sitting in the data centers, in various operations, who are monitoring the systems and implementing the systems and the processes supporting those systems in a way that it's making sure that all the technology and all the processes being used is adhering to the highest security standards you can imagine. And to prove that this is actually the case, we have asked the Bundesamt für Sicherheit und Informationstechnik in Germany to look after those things. And we received the so-called C5 attestation, which confirms our operational security processes adhering to the highest standards. And the great news here is, if you're starting to implement your own solution by using AWS Cloud, you actually will be able to get easier the C5 certification yourself as well, which might be a question, if you're serving customers with your new digital business models, this might be something you want to explore as well. Then, if you think about why customers are choosing AWS? I mean, there are many, many things, but I want to call out a couple of those just to put things again into perspective. So one is, it's around elasticity. So you will be able to spin up resources when you need it and how you need it in the scale that you need it. And you will decommission the same when you don't need them anymore, right? Then on the side of cost, so cost savings, you will only buy what you need, and you will only pay what you need, and you actually pay on a per second billing. So we see significant cost reduction by that. Why is that? Because if you think about running your own data center, you're going to have to buy infrastructure which caters for the need of a peak in your operational capacity. That means you will have infrastructure in your data center you will not need for a majority of, let's say, a year or a month. But just when the peak is there, you need that capacity. And that's something which obviously can be avoided by using cloud technology. A great example where we have evidence about the cost savings is actually Dow Jones. You know that company. They had around about 36 data centers, and they are migrating the majority of those to AWS. And they estimated cost savings in the size of above 100 million just to move those data centers to the cloud. And then the next one is the breadth and depth of our functionality. So you don't have to do things by yourself. There's a huge number of functions and features which we are providing already as part of our technology platform. And that's obviously something which gives you speed and time to market benefits. And then the last one is the global reach. So if you have a business model where you will need to have your solution running and ready in some of international markets, you don't have to go there. You can just decide to use a data center or a region, how we call it, from AWS and running there to have close latency for your customers. So let's have a look at a couple of customer examples. So German famous customer Siemens, they have decided to use AWS as their strategic platform for their Industry 4.0 use cases. They run actually big data analytics, and we have been able to reduce the analysis time of their data from 3 days to 3 hours, which I think is very impressive. Another great example in a very, let's call it regulated environment, is the Talanx Insurance Group. They have been using AWS for their models where they calculate probability for Solvency II scenarios. So it's a HPC, so a high-performance computing workload. They have been able to reduce cost by 65% and calculation time by 75%. And the great news here is they only need that capacity 4 times a year. And that's obviously, they decommission the infrastructure during the times in between. So in public sector, to use another example, we have Finra, so the Financial Industry Regulation or Regulatory Authority. They have created with AWS a flexible platform that they can adapt to changing market dynamics. They moved 90% of their data volume to the AWS cloud, and they capture and analyze the incoming data, which is just huge in the size. So they have 37 billion of data sets coming in every month, which they have to, to store, which they have to analyze, which they have to take care of. Now, you have seen AWS is able to help clients' workloads in many different ways, in many different sizes, in every imaginable workload that you can think of. But they're also starting to get very creative in the things they now suddenly can do. Because in the previous days, if you think a classic data center model, it took a huge cost, a huge time to make things happen. So they are now able to do it more or less in hours or days, right? But this is also only possible because we have one of the broadest partner ecosystems here in Germany, but also worldwide, which helped us to be there where we are today. And I'm very proud to say that we have the broadest partner ecosystems in the industry. If you look at a few key partners, which you can see on the slide. We have a great mix of global system integrators like Intel or Accenture, but also new, we call it, the fast-moving boats in the big ocean. So cloud-native, born in the cloud type of partners who have adopted their operations a cloud-native model. And by doing that, they are learning how they can actually help customers to do the same. You will find many of them here today, obviously, and not only that they are helping customers, they have actually been the ones on the slide being sponsors of this event as well. So at this point, I want to thank you, all sponsors who have been helping us to make this event a great success. Thank you. With very few, we actually go slightly or significantly further. And why is that? Because we feel there in certain markets there is the need for a specific go-to-market model. And today, I'm very proud to announce that we have agreed on a joint cooperation and a joint investment with Arvato Systems. And therefore, I'm very pleased to invite Manfred Heinen on stage, Senior Vice President, Business Development, and member of the Arvato Management Board. Hi, Manfred.
Hello, Klaus. Thank you very much
Great to have you here.
Introduction. Yes, happy to be here.
So we thought it's maybe a good idea that we are German partner having here on stage, that we continue in German, if that's okay for you guys. Manfred, schön, dass du da bist. Ja. Kannst du uns ein bisschen mehr über diese Partnerschaft sagen?
Ja, wie du gerade gesagt hast, wir haben uns dazu entschlossen, zusammen in den Markt zu investieren. Wir, Arvato Systems, sind ja schon länger AWS Advanced Partner und auch Reseller und haben in dem Umfeld eigentlich schon in den letzten Jahren, was wir als Transformationsservices kennen, eigentlich hier unseren Kunden zur Verfügung gestellt. Das ist also Cloud Consulting, das sind Migrationsservices, das sind aber auch Cloud-Native-Entwicklung. Darüber hinaus haben wir in den letzten Jahren verstärkt auch ausgebaut, Operations, also den Betrieb, von einfachen Billing-Services über Monitoring-Services hin zum 24/7-Betrieb. So, wir stellen zunehmend, wie du das eben auch dargestellt hast, in unserem Kundenklientel verstärkte Nachfrage fest. Und von der Seite wollen wir unsere Services ausbauen, wir wollen weiter automatisieren und wir wollen vor allen Dingen auch weiter digitalisieren, unser Know-how digitalisieren. So, und in dem Rahmen, um mal ein paar Beispiele zu nehmen, sehen wir eigentlich in der Zusammenarbeit relativ viel Potenziale, zum Beispiel in den Kernbranchen, wo wir aktuell unterwegs sind. Eine Kernbranche ist Commerce. Da betreiben wir viele Shop-Systeme oder auch Produktinformationsmanagementsysteme oder Web-Applikationen. Das sind Applikationen, die skalieren in sich und sind elastisch. Eine andere Branche, wo wir aktiv sind, ist zum Beispiel Pharma Healthcare. Da haben wir eigenes IP entwickelt, um quasi sicherzustellen, dass Arzneimittel, die produziert werden, auch tatsächlich die Verpackung das enthält, was entsprechend draufsteht. Und da sind wir in Deutschland relativ weit unterwegs, aber auch international. So, und da haben wir gerade zusammen unser System tatsächlich on AWS enabled und haben hier die ersten Kunden auch entsprechend gewonnen. Eine andere Branche, wo wir aktiv sind, sind Medien. Da sind wir sehr stark im Media Asset Management Bereich unterwegs. Da werden wir in der nächsten Woche eine Akquisition tätigen, um unser Know-how da technologisch, aber auch fachlich weiterzuentwickeln. Und damit werden wir dann auch bei euch entsprechende Services im Marketplace zur Verfügung stellen, die auch heute schon nicht nur von TV-Sendern genutzt werden oder von Produktionsunternehmen, sondern auch zum Beispiel im Automotive-Bereich, Marketing oder im Energieversorgungsbereich, dann auch im IT-Umfeld. Das bringt mich eigentlich zu dem Thema horizontale Themen. Also wir sind als Arvato Systems auch RZ-Rechenzentrumsbetreiber. Wir haben bei uns über 1000 SAP-Systeme stehen und wollen da auch unseren Kunden zusammen hybride Szenarien anbieten und halt dort entsprechend dann auch unsere Kunden helfen, da effizienter entsprechend zu werden. Wir sind da auch entsprechend zertifiziert, also wir können SAP on AWS betreiben. Und wir wollen gemeinsam Zukunftsthemen angehen. Zukunftsthemen für uns sind zum Beispiel IoT oder Analytics oder auch alles, was sich um Bot-Technologien dreht, Oder auch ein großer Bereich ist bei uns Demand to Cash, wo wir gerade zusammen auch in Blockchain reingucken. Oder auch kognitive Services. Da vielleicht nochmal ein Beispiel. Wir haben gerade zusammen für unseren Kunden Alexa-Services mit enabled in einem POC, um halt im Rahmen von Chat auch Spracherkennung, also Dialog, besser verständlich zu machen und dadurch halt Shop-Funktionalitäten besser zu unterstützen. Ja? So, warum jetzt Mittelstand? Ja? Zum einen, wir sind ja selbst mit unseren 3000 Mitarbeitern, sind wir ja Mittelständler und kommen auch aus einem Konzern, der eigentlich mehr als 500 Mittelständler beherbergt. Von der Seite sind wir eigentlich als, ja, wir sind kein Cloud-Native, traditioneller Systemintegrator, eigentlich auch historisch schon sehr stark mit dem Mittelstand verwachsen gewesen. By the way, 75% unseres Umsatzes heute kommen außerhalb des Konzerns, also genau von den Mittelständlern. Und da stellen wir halt verstärkt Bedarfe fest. Und wie Gartner, die du eben auch schon mal zitiert hast, sagt, gerade der Mittelstand in Deutschland hat auch einen gewissen Aufholbedarf in internationaler Sicht. So, und das möchten wir halt mit unserer Initiative unterstützen. Zum Zweiten, als Nicht-Native transformieren wir uns gerade selbst. Also wir haben ein 3-jähriges Transformationsprogramm ausgesetzt, sind jetzt so etwa in der Mitte, also verstehen auch um die Herausforderungen, die unsere Kunden da entsprechend haben und wissen, dass nicht nur alles Technologie ist, sondern vieles in der Transformation sind auch neue Prozesse, neue Geschäftsmodelle und auch ein Stück weit Kulturwechsel. Ich glaube, da können wir uns gegenseitig befruchten und dann natürlich auch unsere Kunden.
Ja, ich finde das natürlich eine super Sache, gerade weil im Mittelstand eben ein gewisser Konservatismus sicherlich vorhanden ist und da ist natürlich, wenn man auf Augenhöhe kommunizieren kann, ist eine tolle Sache. Kannst du uns vielleicht noch ein bisschen erzählen, was aus deiner Sicht oder aus der Avato-Sicht vielleicht diese Partnerschaft auch so besonders macht?
Ich glaube, das sind zwei ganz generelle Punkte. Einmal, was ich gerade gesagt habe, unsere gemeinschaftliche Fokussierung auf den deutschen Mittelstand. Ich glaube, dass ihr als Innovator und auch als Marktführer im Cloud-Umfeld und wir als ein mittelständischer Cloud-Service-Integrator da eigentlich die Sprache sprechen, die auch unsere Kunden verstehen. Und das meine ich jetzt nicht nur verbal, sondern meine ich auch mental und inhaltlich. Zum Zweiten ganz klar Commitment. Ich habe eben schon mal aufgeführt, wir wollen weiter digitalisieren, werden weiter digitalisieren, aber auch ein Commitment an den Markt, weil wir haben uns dazu entschlossen, im Rahmen unserer Kooperation in den nächsten 3 bis 5 Jahren ca. 500 Leute zu enablen, auf unserer Seite zu trainieren und zu zertifizieren, um unsere Kunden effizienter zu machen, schneller zu machen, flexibler zu machen und damit vielleicht auch insgesamt Innovation zu unterstützen.
Ich finde es eine super Geschichte. Wir freuen uns auf die Zusammenarbeit, Manfred. Wir glauben fest daran, dass das im Markt eine gewisse Signalwirkung auch haben wird. Wir glauben, dass dadurch eben insbesondere im Mittelstandssegment natürlich eine gewisse Bewegung und Dynamik reinkommt. Freuen uns drauf. Vielen Dank, dass du da warst. Manfred Heinen.
Danke auch.
Bis dann. Ciao, danke dir. Vielleicht noch abschließend, die Avato ist natürlich heute auch hier. Sie finden sie draußen in der Ausstellung, im Ausstellungsbereich. Wenn Sie Fragen haben, wenn Sie über die Offerings sprechen wollen, bitte scheuen Sie sich nicht, direkt beim Avato-Stand vorbeizugehen. Now I'm switching back to English, switch gears. So where are we in the cloud evolution? So a couple of years back, we have been, realizing that cloud might become or will become the new normal. Companies of all sizes, all industries have been starting to move new applications to the cloud and also have been starting to think about, moving, let's call it legacy applications, so data center oriented applications to the cloud as fast as possible. Now, oops, wrong one. Now, last year we talked about how inspiring it was for builders to have the control of their own destiny. And in listening, observing those builders in doing what they do, building stuff, we realized that using the cloud and AWS has made builders feel they are kind of equipped with superpowers. So one reason why we believe this is, or where we believe this is coming from, is around that continued notion of innovation. So enhancing features, enhancing existing services, building new features. And we would like to give you some more flavor of how innovation in Amazon really works. And so I'm very pleased to invite Paul Messner, VP Global Innovation from Amazon, to the stage. Paul. Hi, Paul. Great to have you here.
Danke, Klaus. Danke, Klaus, and good morgen, alles. And let me allow me to add my welcome to all of you to AWS Transformation Day. In a little while, you'll be hearing from Peter Henson, who is a very engaging, entertaining, thought-provoking speaker and author. And while I lack his talents, I hope to talk to you this morning about something, a very interesting topic. And this is how we think about, how we go about our methods of innovation at Amazon. Now, when I joined Amazon in late 1999, early 2000, our most recent big innovation was selling tools to customers. These were hammers and saws and screwdrivers. So it's really cool that here we are in 2017, and for the past decade, we've been making much more interesting tools available through AWS: compute, storage, artificial intelligence. And so one of the things I hope you'll take away from this talk this morning is that the more things that have changed at Amazon over this period of time, the more things have stayed the same, especially with respect to innovation. Now, let me say at the outset, I'm going to be talking about how Amazon thinks about and goes about innovation. It's not necessarily the best way. It's certainly not the only way to innovate. It just happens to be the way we do it. And I'm going to offer you, through the course of my remarks, some ideas that you might try yourselves. These are ideas, methods of innovation that have worked at Amazon. And they might work in your organization as well. They're worthy of a try. 3 of them are actually fairly easy, low cost, low risk ways that you might try to innovate as we do. 3 of them are also more difficult, and I acknowledge that right from the start, especially as a company like Amazon has grown. Now, of course, when I joined, it was more or less a startup. So how do we maintain the spirit of innovation at Amazon through our growth and through all these years? Well, one way we do it is with pizza. Now, what's the idea here? The idea here is that any new opportunity or challenge that we face, we first assign a team to address that opportunity or challenge, and the number of individuals on that team should be no more or less than could be comfortably fed by 2 extra large American pizzas. And the concept is this. I mean, you might say, okay, that's kind of cute, Amazon. Why do you do that? Well, 4 people, that's too much pizza, right? 14 people, that's not enough pizza. So it's somewhere in that range. And you might say, well, come on, this is just cute. This is a tech thing. It's pizza. Why don't you just assign a number, say the number 8? So 8 individuals will be assigned to a team to address a new challenge or opportunity at Amazon. Well, what happens if that team is working along and after a few months they discover they really need some expertise in artificial intelligence? And you know that there's a woman down the hall who has that expertise. She's available to help out the team, and she's willing to do it. But no, that would be 9 people. Well, okay, that's stupid. Of course you invite her to join the team, so now you have 9. But then you might say, well, you might want more expertise. How about an economist? How about a mathematician? How about a statistician? How about a whatever? The team could grow and grow and grow. You'd have more and more expertise. But here's the point. At some level, at some number of people, the return that you get from adding more expertise diminishes by the complexity of communication within the team. When you get to about, I don't know, call it a dozen or so people, suddenly the team starts to fracture, and it becomes 2 teams or 3 teams or more, and communications break down. So This is one of the ways in which we at Amazon maintain the startup's ability to innovate. We keep things, at least in the initial stages, concentrated in a small team to be fed by 2 pizzas. Now, obviously, the 2-pizza team is something that you can try yourselves. If you have a large organization, give it a try. If you're a startup, you probably already are a 2-pizza team, so you needn't break apart into these kinds of groups. This is an easy thing to try. There's no harm in it, and it's something that every organization in this room could at least give a shot. But obviously, there's more than pizza teams, right, that determine how we innovate at Amazon. And so let me tell you about something we call the leadership principles. And the leadership principles at Amazon are the tenets by which we operate within Amazon. They govern how we interview job candidates. They're how we evaluate ourselves, at least annually, in performance reviews. But also, we apply them to problems that we face every day, or challenges or opportunities. And they're available on our websites, and so you can check them out. There are 14 of them. Now, again, these are the ones that we have. They're not necessarily the right ones or the best ones. These just happen to be the leadership principles by which Amazon operates, and you can check them out. They're on our website. But those are 14. That's a lot, right? So it seems to me that 3 stand out in the context of innovation at Amazon and how we think about it and go about it. Now, first and foremost, I hope if you're a customer of Amazon in any capacity, AWS or as a consumer, that you recognize that our first and foremost leadership principle always has been and always will be customer obsession. And so that applies as well in the context of innovation at Amazon. Customer obsession is customer focus. Now, at Amazon, customer obsession manifests itself most in the context of innovation in what we call the working backwards process. And the idea is this, that if today we have an idea for a new product or service that we want to deliver sometime in the future, say it's 6 months away, 2 years, 5 years away, today we will sit down and write a press release and an FAQ to go along with it for release in the future. So we'll write it today for release in the future. Now, what does this do for you? Well, first of all, it disciplines you. How many times have we gone to a meeting and you make a decision and 6 weeks later everyone forgets what the decision was? Well, by writing it out today, you hold yourself accountable in the future. You've written it today and you can't change your mind in midstream. You have to do what you wrote today. Second, a press release is written in customer terms. Right? It's in customer language, something that the customer can absorb. What's in it for her? She can read when it's released 6 months, 6 years from now. She can read what's in it for her, and it will understand it. All the technological developments that we have to work backwards from to develop are for us to figure out. And they may be far too complicated for the customer to figure out or to understand, but that's not the point. The press release is written in the language of a customer. And lastly, and this may be the most subtle point of all, but by writing a press release today for release in the future, acknowledges that what you're trying to do is impossible today. It can't be done. Because if it could be done, you would write the press release today and release it today. We recognize that by looking at what we want to do in the future and working backwards from it, we've got to invent stuff that doesn't exist today, that doesn't work, that no one has done before. We have to invent it. And that's exciting. It's also a little daunting, but I want to tell you about a particular working backwards process, press release and FAQ, that I worked on personally a few years ago. And that had to do with a future drone delivery service we call Amazon Prime Air. And you may have heard of this. The concept is to be able to deliver a package to a customer within 30 minutes of an order. Sounds simple enough, but well, where does it stand today? You may have heard about this a few years ago. Let's look at where things stand today.
Amazon is developing a service to use drones to safely deliver packages to customers in 30 minutes or less. It's called Prime Air. We started a new private trial for customers in the Cambridge area of England, and on December 7th, we completed our participation to dozens of customers living within several miles of our UK facility, and then growing to hundreds more. After that, well, it'd be easy to say, the sky's the limit. But that's not exactly true anymore, is it?
Well, thank you. It's really cool. I mean, I'm involved in it, but and so I can say that reservedly, but I will tell you, it's totally cool. I've been to the Cambridge facility that you saw there. These things actually are flying. We're talking about autonomous drones. These are things that will take off, fly to where they're supposed to go, know what to do when they're there, which turns out to be a particular challenge. What is in the yard, or is there a new tree that was just planted, or is a dog running around? I mean, all sorts of things. The drone has to know what to do and make a decision. Does it make the delivery? Does it hover and wait for a moment? Or does it just simply fly back to the warehouse? Designing this kind of technology is tough. We've brought on a lot of expertise. We have former fighter pilots, we have aeronautical engineers, roboticists, computer vision experts, even a former astronaut that we've brought onto the team to make this a reality. And so it is cool. And here are our 3 different versions of drones. These are ones we happen to have shown publicly to date. But they have different configurations, and they're largely designed to work in different kinds of environments. We recognize, for example, that our customers live in rural, hot, sunny areas, in urban, cold, rainy areas, and sort of everything in between. And so we have to be able to recognize that we may have several different designs, and so we're developing a family of different drones. Okay, it's really easy to get distracted by the technology because it is cool. But the most important player in that video wasn't the drone, it was Richard. It was a customer who wanted a bag of popcorn within 30 minutes of an order. He got it within 13. But the focus is on the customer. At some point, drones will be so everyday that we don't think about them anymore. They'll be as commonplace as seeing a delivery truck on the street. But Richard is going to get his package of popcorn in 13 minutes of an order. And that is really cool. All right, so customer obsession. This is the way we describe it on the website. Again, you can check out these leadership principles. An important component of this, and I think this is probably the hardest point of this, everybody in this room, I'm confident, thinks about their customers. I'm confident of that. But to obsess over them and to not focus on your competition, that's hard. I get that, and so this is a suggestion for you that I recognize is hard to do, especially in large enterprises, which are oftentimes organized around competition. Not so at Amazon, but I'd suggest that you think about ways in which you could obsess and then not focus on competition. And here's the way we say it at AWS. Launch is the starting line, not the finish line. Well, one of the cool things about that approach to things is that there are 2 aspects of it that are interesting. One is starting line, not the finish line. Okay, let's think about that. So the launch is here, and that's the starting line because we want to provide it to our customers. We want to iterate, make it better, take your feedback, your suggestions, make our products and services better. That's great. But it also has the meaning of launch is the starting line because launch envisioned today is that working backwards starting line. What do we need to do to invent to get to the point of launch? Okay, other than customer obsession, what are the other 2 leadership principles that come to mind at Amazon in the context of innovation? Well, one is actually kind of difficult to say, but you'll see it written here, and that's are right a lot. Are right, comma, a lot. Well, no one wants to be wrong, of course. It's not that we just want to be right and not wrong. It says are right a lot. It doesn't say are right. It doesn't say are right all the time. It doesn't even say are right most of the time, which means, in theory, you can be wrong most of the time, or at least a lot of the time. You can be wrong. Well, in practice, what does this mean? In practice, it means that failure is okay at Amazon. We welcome it, and it's not because we're just nice people. We're not just saying, oh, that's okay that you failed. Here's a participation award. You can go home and be proud of that. No, it's not that. It's that failure is implicit in innovation. You can't innovate unless you experiment. And if you know how an experiment is going to turn out, if you know that it cannot fail, it's not an experiment. A lot of us might get confused by that simply because we had chemistry or physics classes in high school where you performed some functions, you poured some stuff and it did something, and that was called an experiment. Well, the professor, the teacher, she knew how it was going to turn out. She knew that this wasn't really an experiment. She knew that this is, you did this and it demonstrates something. That wasn't an experiment. That was just a demonstration of something that probably had been done 100 years earlier. An actual experiment, which is necessary for actual innovation, must have the possibility of failure. And so that's why we welcome failure at Amazon. It's our right a lot. Not all the time. In fact, it gets more complicated than that. But what's an example? What's an example here? Well, when I joined in late '99, we had been going through some challenges with how to deal with third-party sellers on our retail website. And in the first place, the thought of third-party sellers on our website was anathema to outside critics and to Wall Street, for that matter. The investment community said, why would you allow third parties to use your facilities to sell their stuff? Because they're going to undersell your stuff in some circumstances. I mean, think about it. Can you go to a high street store here in Cologne, and they're selling, I don't know, shirts. So they're selling shirts in the high street. Can you go into the high street store and say, I have some shirts that I also would like to sell right alongside yours, and they may be better shirts, and they may be less expensive than those are, and so when customers come into your shop, they may buy my shirts and not yours. Well, it doesn't happen today, right? It doesn't in the physical world, but it certainly happens at Amazon. But along the way to getting to the place where our customers like this, we had two fairly big public failures. And I had the opportunity to live through these failures. And they were these. First of all, we decided that we would have an auction site. Does anybody know that Amazon had auctions? No one remembers this, of course, because it was a failure. It didn't work. Nobody came to it. No one used it for a variety of reasons. It just didn't work. But we received all that criticism around why would you let somebody come on your site and sell used goods that will undercut your sales of new goods? Well, we thought it was a good idea for our buyer customers because they would have more selection available to them. We also thought, well, this is an opportunity for us to make our technologies available to third-party sellers, and we'd have a new category of customers called seller customers. Well, again, auctions failed, so we replaced it with something called Z-shops. In Z-shops, you don't remember this one either, Z-shops or Z-shops, this was, in essence, a separate segregated corner of our website where buyer customers could come in, they could look for selection on our retail website, and if they didn't find what they wanted, they could go to this corner of the website, almost like having a separate room in a physical department store, where you had to look twice, right? So you had to, a buyer customer had to come in, and he wants something, and he can't find it in the retail site, and so he has to go over to Zed Shops. Well, I think for obvious reasons, that failed too. It was just inconvenient. It just didn't work. Again, however, Wall Street is saying, whoa, what are you doing? You're allowing new sales of new products in competition with your products. That's insane. We looked at it as our buyer customers will love it. They'll see not only a used option to buying something new, but they'll see other new products, and they'll see price competition right on the website. Well, despite the criticisms, or perhaps because of the criticisms, Z-shops, Z-shops failed miserably. Again, it was very inconvenient. So about the time I joined, but no thanks to me, we launched a third alternative, which was called Marketplace. And Marketplace is what you hopefully are familiar with today if you are Amazon customers, where you can go and you can search for a particular product, and we offer, if the retail business offers the product, it's for sale through Amazon Retail, but third parties also can be selling it. And on the same page, you can see the price competition. And in this case, these pots and pans, Amazon, the retailer, is selling it, this is the UK site, for £140, and this other company is selling it, U-Stores, is selling it for £132 right on the website. We see the price competition there. Do you see how that's working? So great for our seller customers because they get prominence if they offer the best value. Great for our buyer customers because they get more selection and price competition right on the website. This is a case of where we were wrong, very publicly, quite wrong, embarrassingly wrong twice, and finally got it right. So we welcome this kind of failure, to always try to improve, to always get to the right place. Well, how is it characterized in the leadership principle? Look at this. Leaders have strong judgment and good instincts. They seek diverse perspectives. And look at this last piece. And work to disconfirm their beliefs. So not only is failure okay, and at some level welcome, because that is necessary for experimentation and innovation, we're actually told to try to make your thing fail. If you've got an idea, make it fail. Try your best, and if it doesn't, if you can't get it to fail, then you might be confident that it's going to be a success. You can't ever be 100% confident. You can't ever prove that you're right. You can prove that you're wrong, however. And so leaders are not only allowed to fail, they actually are encouraged to make their own ideas fail. The way we say it at AWS, we are inventors and pioneers. And so as we invent and as we pioneer, we must recognize that there's an opportunity for failure. Now, there are other methods by which we think about and make the decisions that go into what products and services to pursue, for example. And here's one, because I've just given you something, by the way, I've just given you an idea that's really hard to do in a lot of organizations, and that is be willing to fail. That's hard, I get it. The more you enable your teams to try things and fail, I contend the better off everyone is, but human nature, we don't like to fail much, so it's hard, I get that. But I'm going to give you something easy here in the context of decision making. When we need to make a decision, including all the way up to the very top of the company, what we do is we have the proponents of a decision, the teams working on it, actually sit down and write out what we call the six-pager. And the six-pager is a prose document. It can be no longer than 6 pages. And it's specifically in prose and not in PowerPoint, sorry Microsoft, not in bullet form. It's in prose because prose forces the author, the proponent of an idea, to take a stand. Right? Bullet points, if you just put up a few words in a bullet point, you can hedge and hem and haw about what it means and how to interpret it, and no, I really meant that, and oh, that's a good idea, maybe I meant that instead. No, you want the proponents of an idea within your organization to write it out in prose because that forces them to take a stand. Next, what we do is we have a meeting, an hour-long meeting, 1 hour, spent considering this proposal. And how does this meeting work? And again, this goes all the way to the very top of the company, but it's also dispersed throughout when we're making decisions. We'll sit down for an hour, and for the first half hour, we'll do nothing but read that 6-page document. It's an eerie meeting. It's completely quiet. You have 10, 15 people sitting around a table, and everyone is just sitting there reading it. All you hear is the pages turning. And then you have 30 minutes to discuss it and make the decision. And this is even hard decisions, easy decisions, all the way in between, but it works because of human nature again. How many times have you gone to a meeting and you're the only one who's read the assignment or done the homework? Or you haven't done it and you quick skimmed it, or you had done it 3 weeks ago and you kind of don't really remember what it said. In this way, we make decisions with the information top of mind. It's all right there. Because it's in prose, We don't have to interpret what bullet points mean. We're actually reading what the proponents of an idea have to say. And then at the end of that, everybody has just read it. It's very current in their minds. And then you discuss it and make a decision. You can do this in 30 minutes. This is an idea that you can try. The only people who might not like this are the people that have to write the 6-pager, because it turns out that that's hard. It's much easier to make a PowerPoint deck. Writing the 6-pager can be a challenge, but I tell you, it does pay benefits when you have to make a decision. Another part of this whole concept of being right a lot at Amazon is when we go through this kind of a decision-making process, this 6-pager in the meeting, we also like to think about two kinds of decisions. One kind of decision we call a type 1 decision. It's what we also call a one-way door. In other words, if you do what is being proposed, it's going to be really hard to undo it. In that context, you really want to make sure you have all the information and you pull everything together and make sure you make the right decision. But most decisions aren't that. The vast majority of decisions we make at Amazon are reversible. If you try something and it doesn't work out, you can step back from it and change what you've done. The point is this, that don't apply the same scrutiny to the easy reversible decisions that you apply to the hard irreversible decisions. And the reason is simply because you're wasting a lot of time if you do so. Okay, lastly, in addition to customer obsession and our right a lot, is the simplest and most prosaic, which is simply this: you have to deliver results, right? All the obsessing over customers, all the being right or a lot, all the experimentation and innovation and decision making, it doesn't make a difference if it doesn't ultimately get to your customers. So you have to deliver results. Over the years, we've had some successes. I've mentioned some of our failures. These are things that we delivered results on. But the way we say it is, leaders deliver with the right quality in a timely manner. Never settle for setbacks. You've got there are challenges for certain to delivering results. At AWS, we use the same building blocks that you, our customers, use to develop and deliver new services. And something like 90 to 95% of the new services and products that we offer through AWS are ones that we got from ideas from you. You've asked for things. And so feedback is super important to us at AWS. So there they are. Customer obsession, our right a lot, and deliver results. Those are the three leadership principles at Amazon that seem to fit in best with innovation at Amazon and how we think and go about it. And here are the innovation methods that you can try. And again, I recognize that three are fairly easy comparatively. Try the two-pizza teams. Write the press release. You know what? Little secret, in my desk, in my office, I have 3 press releases and FAQs that I've drafted for myself. I haven't shown anybody. They've not been approved by anybody. It's not gone through a decision-making process. But these are what are guiding me and a lot of the things that I'm working on at Amazon. And there's no harm in doing it. It really does keep your focus, and it does keep your mind centered on what's in it for customers. It's not just like what's my task or what's my checklist or my goals for this quarter. It's not that. It's what a customer will care about. I assure you that customers do not care about my goals for the next quarter. They don't. They do care about what I could deliver in a press release at some point. And lastly, the 6-pager in meeting, try it out. That one of the 3 perhaps takes the most work because you actually have to write prose, but it's not that much work. Really, it's not, especially in the context of making an important decision in your organization. The 3 harder ones, I get that these are hard, admittedly so. The customer obsession, not focusing on competitors, that's kind of a big deal. The next one, write a lot, be willing to fail. And make those reversible decisions fast. Don't wait around. If you've got 60 or 70% of the information that you think that you could obtain about that decision, that's good to go if it's a reversible decision. And lastly, deliver results. Actually do what you said that you were going to do. Actually release that press release some point in the future. That's what's important to your customers. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Paul. Now, I think we learned a lot about how innovation at Amazon works. And now, to make this a little bit more sticky, we thought it's maybe a good idea to have a couple of customer examples where they will walk you through what they have done in their individual operations. Today we have here the Allianz Group, we have Capital One, and we have Haufelexware, which is ERP or financial software and an ISV type of company. First, we're going to start with the Allianz Group. So let me welcome Andrea Hirzle-Jager on stage. Andrea, pleased to have you here.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am truly thrilled to be here today to let you all catch a glimpse of the journey that we have undertaken at Allianz Germany, that we undertook starting in February of this year, and a journey into the cloud that took all of 6 months, which, when you think about a huge insurance company, that's pretty incredible. So what does Allianz have to do with cloud? Why did we even consider it? We, of course, come from legacy, but we've also been always at the forefront of innovation. Back in the days of the big tankers, like a Titanic, as you can see in the picture, that was the big innovation, and we were one of the companies ensuring the supposed unsinkable ship, which unfortunately wasn't true, but we were a risk taker back then, and we are at the forefront of innovation today as well, ensuring the first drones, maybe even the Amazon drones, although I didn't really do my homework to check that one, but we do insure drones today. And as Allianz, we also, of course, are a trusted partner for 86 million customers. We are Europe's largest insurance company based on market value, with 140,000 employees, just Allianz Germany alone. And we've been in business for 125 plus years, 126 now. And we are absolutely committed to staying in business for the next at least 125 years. And so what does that mean, right? So we need to get close to our customer, even closer to our customers, to the 86 million of them, and growing, hopefully. And what do we do to stay competitive? So what I will talk to you about today is what I call the oxymoronic challenge that, in my opinion, we have to overcome and that we had to overcome. New ways of doing things we have to recognize for ourselves and also are in the process of embracing so that we could reach the results that we had committed ourselves to. So the oxymoronic challenge has to do with rules and regulations. So what is an oxymoron? For those of you who may be asking, oxymoron, what's that? An oxymoron is really something that doesn't go together. It's, opposites that don't match, things that you think are impossible to combine. And so that, for us, was insurance and cloud computing. As an insurance company, many of you are probably well aware of German law. And as an insurance company, we do deal, obviously, with highly sensitive personal customer data, including health insurance data. And so our commitment, of course, is to always stay true to the trust that our customers have in us as an insurance company, which in turn means we would never want to do anything with the data that would even risk it in the least bit. And what did that mean for our journey into the cloud now? With those big rules and regulations over our head, our commitment to the customer data, it meant that, of course, moving into the cloud meant that there was no digitization without having security right at the forefront of all the decisions we made. And so just a few examples. Klaus was talking about it earlier. There are AWS native securities that are built into the cloud that, of course, we leveraged. But beyond that, we also say we do not store any data in the cloud, at least not yet. So no customer data goes into the cloud. It moves through the cloud, of course. And we also, because of that, have encryption as a default. And lots of pen tests all of the time to confirm that everything that we have built as part of our cloud infrastructure is safe and follows what we call a multi-zone concept. And by the way, more on all of this, you can listen to a 4 o'clock security track session where our project manager, Ludwig Paulsen, will tell you in more detail of what exactly all of those things meant for us and how we implemented some of those. So why did we choose AWS? We've heard it earlier, and I was pleased to see that in 2017 still, AWS in the upper right-hand corner of the Gartner Magic Quadrant. And of course, we made sure before we even embarked on the journey that all German legal requirements were met by AWS and their cloud solution. So with all of that and this big oxymoronic challenge, implementing and looking at all those things, we made what I think the impossible possible on a security perspective, but that's not really everything. The journey into the cloud and the move into this new world with the new technology really also has you facing additional challenges. And those are some of the ones I want to talk to you about right now. It's almost like back in the 1960s. For those of you, there may be a few in here who may still remember this, where not everybody realized and was aware what huge impact the Beatles would have on the music industry, right? And I think it's similar today, whether it's the politicians or our schools or wherever we may turn. Not everybody is aware yet and understands the huge paradigm shift this new technology that we have at our fingertips really means. And so with that, we need to also focus on doing things differently. We need to really create new ways of thinking. We need to break down the silos that we have built within our organizations. We need to really work cross-functionally. We also need to think about new ways of working together. One new buzzword that we've all heard probably is Devops. We need to get the teams who develop the software and the teams who actually then end up providing the platforms. We need them to work together more closely. And we also need to get our security folks and the enterprise architects, everybody on the same team from the very beginning, which is one of the things we did in our project that made it so successful. I am absolutely convinced that if we had not had everybody at the table from the very beginning to help solve the challenge and solve the problems together, we would not have been able to make this journey into the cloud in only 6 months. So that is a really big deal in my mind. And then it also, of course, requires a new way of leadership. As leaders, we need to enable our people and need to help them really do the best they can and just let them do together what they do best. We need to move away from a blaming culture that we unfortunately start in our schools. What's the worst thing you can do at school? Make a mistake, right? In my mind, we should never waste a good mistake. We should learn from it. And this is one of my favorite pictures, if you will. I want to tell you a little bit about what it means to me. If we want to move into this new world and implement this new technology, what we need in organizations is not only from an organizational perspective, the top-down commitment, the bottom-up buy-in, and the entire organization needs to be on board. We need to really get everybody to participate in the journey. You need your HR departments, you need your finance department, you need all of your different business units playing this game with you. Otherwise, in my mind, there is no real way to win and to really scale it to the extent that you want to scale it. That's one part, that's the organizational part. But then you also have the technology part, and that's something that we have realized more and more over the last few months, how critical it is to not only build the nice, shiny, sexy front end. That's relatively easy now, of course, with all this new technology. But you also need to be aware, especially for those of you who have some existing systems, that both worlds actually work together and that they support each other. To do that, you really need that end-to-end view working together. So here, a quick overview, and I won't bore you with the details. If you're interested in those, again, as I said, the 4 o'clock session will definitely go into depth here. But what this is supposed to show you all here is that within just 6 months, we moved from just thinking about going into the cloud to actually going live. And today we have about 600 hosts, 11 container platforms, about 3.5 terabytes of memory, and over 500 users using our platform, our cloud platform. And at this point, our team focuses on onboarding and supporting 10 application teams, and about 100 of them, and this is on the production side of the platform, and about 100 products are in development at the moment, ready to launch into production. So from my perspective, a huge, huge success for a company like Allianz to be able to create this out of nothing in only such a short time frame. And because we didn't know it couldn't be done, we weren't able to do it, which just shows that anything's possible. So never give up on that one. Don't let those who haven't realized what's possible stand in your way. Get everybody on board early and make sure that you keep your goal in sight and just keep going for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome.
Oops. Now, next one is Capital One. So Capital One is one of the largest nationwide bank. It offers credit cards, loans for cars, checking saving accounts, online banking services and stuff like that. And the interesting point about Capital One is really that they have taken on the challenge to use AWS as one of their core platforms for their mobile banking application, which is one of their core assets. And they're really evaluating, almost each and every service in the AWS platform if they can use the service for one of their potential workloads. So let me welcome Kapil Tangivelu, Senior Distinguished Engineer from Capital One. Welcome.
Thank you. So Capital One is one of the leading financial institutions in the US, as well as a top credit card issuer in the UK. But more fundamentally, we're a technology company. Our embrace of the public cloud is about leveraging the economies of scale inherent in these public cloud services to deliver better innovation for our customers. Along our journey, we've embraced a DevOps culture for better operations and faster feature delivery. Microservices for agility of development teams, along with containers and serverless and machine learning. All of our development teams operate with a cloud-first mentality across all their projects. We've hired thousands of engineers and embraced organizational transformation at all levels. We do this in service of our customers, trying to reimagine banking. Machine learning provides for new ways of interacting and engaging with customers. Magic has become every day, from our Alexa skill that allows voice control for checking balances and paying bills, to Eno, our text bot that enables customers to service requests directly on the most commonly used mobile feature. We drive innovation both on the front-end user experience as well as on the back end, where we combine machine learning with big data, fraud analytics, and anomaly detection to power our Second Look project. It's already saved customers $9 million in 6 months by providing a second set of eyes on transactions to help customers find unexpected charges. We've also integrated machine learning into our call centers, now powered by Amazon Connect, to automatically transcribe and analyze service interactions for quality assurance. Even to the more mundane, with robotic process automation of legal and commercial transactions, the pace of innovation is only accelerating. Being on the cloud lets us harness that more efficiently than ever before as we deliver new products. I'll be speaking later today in more depth about one of those projects, our open source project called Cloud Custodian, that helps us operate with compliance and security in AWS. Thank you.
Thank you, Kapil. And now the last customer example is the CEO of Haufe Lexware, so Markus Reitwieser. So Haufe Lexware is, as I said before, an ERP and legal software and content provider, and they're using AWS as well for their solutions. So please welcome Markus Reitwieser, CEO of Haufe Lexware.
Hi. Yeah, welcome. We're probably here, as most of you are, we are Mittelstand, which is not like the super cool, super great stuff. We're a Mittelstands company. And 18 years ago, our business was 95% lose Blattwerk, which I even can't translate into English. And it was pretty clear to us that this business is not having a bright future and a digital future, not at all. So, but different to a lot of public traded companies, Mittelstand has a very long-term perspective. And we started to reshape our business and to change our business, and what we call the cool lose Blatt stuff is now 2 or 3% of our revenues. And unfortunately, we did a couple of other things. We invested into digitalization of our products, into cloud products. And today, we are #1 in small businesses in terms of cloud adoption. We have the fastest growing and largest platform for small businesses being online and doing their ERP systems online. We're #1 in tax declaration being made online. And for our corporate business, if it comes to, we used to tell HR people how to write an Arbeitszeugnis. Even that is something you can't translate almost in English. And today, we're running talent management, talent development as a cloud service for our customers, and we have been named the only one in the Magic Quadrant from Gartner coming from Europe yet. All the other ones are American companies, and as a small Mittelstands company, we're pretty proud to hold in there. We also have the biggest academy, Aus- und Weiterbildung for B2B customers. And yeah, our business is growing. Also, we have all these boring Fachinformationen, which are shrinking like 5 to 10% every year. Company is growing. We amassed 340 million of revenues last year, being up 12%, which I think is pretty cool, given the turnaround we're in. 95% of our revenues are businesses which did not exist 15 years ago. Now, we could be relaxed in saying like, oh, this is really cool, you made it. You're a master example of the digital transformation. And also we got the Digital Champions Award and everything. I have to disappoint you on that. I think we just started it. We just began with it. And what's ahead of us is now becoming really difficult and really complicated. I absolutely do believe, despite of the successes we had, and we're cheering about what has happened was the easy part of it. Because now the transformation is hitting our classic businesses. It's hitting our core businesses. We're having issues where we have to let go 100 people going out of our classic businesses, hiring 150 people for our new businesses and paying out record bonuses to all our employees. And this is something an organization has to digest first, because this is a massive and a very, very fast transformation we have to go through. And what we're facing increasingly, not only in our company, but also with some of our customers, which we're helping for this digital transformation, like Daimler, like Swisscom and some others, that taking the organization and taking the people on this way is becoming more and more crucial in making this transformation. And this is something we're concerned as of today, and which is a part of our focus, that digital transformation has only a very small part with technology and what we're going to deliver to the customer. It's a big way in the way how we work, how we run the company, and how we manage the company. And classical hierarchical functions, command and control, will come to an end, because this doesn't have the speed, this doesn't have the agility, this doesn't have the flexibility to run a modern company. That's something we're concerned, and now we have to talk to human beings, and then we know it's getting not a challenge, but a long way to change that and to bring our organization along, that they can adopt to what the digital future really is going to be, and it's going to be radical different and radical faster and more complex and agile than what we've seen today and what we needed today. We will have a breakout session a little later in German, where we're going to talk about it. You're invited. The race is long, and unfortunately the journey has just begun. Every time when I think, yeah, we made it, there's another opening coming up and say, oh, the road is getting longer, the road is getting more winding, and it's just the next phase we have to go through. Looking forward to discussion with you later in the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Markus. And please give a warm applause to all the customer speakers that we had. So Andrea, Kapil, and Markus, thank you guys. Pleasure to have you here.